I opened the closet at 2 a.m. because I heard breathing. Her work friend was hiding there in his boxers, clutching his shoes. She froze. I dragged him out by the hair, slammed him into the hall mirror, and took a selfie with his bleeding lip. Then I sent it to his wife, his boss, and hers. By sunrise, he had stitches. She had no job. I wasn't supposed to be home that night. My flight back was originally set for Sunday morning, but the client bailed on the Saturday meetings and left town early. So I packed my bag, skipped the hotel reservation, and took the last red-eye back home. I didn't text her. I figured it would be a quiet surprise. Maybe even romantic. I'd bring takeout from her favorite 24/7 place and curl up next to her like nothing ever changed. The house was dark when I pulled up. Porch light was off. Her car was parked crooked in the driveway, and the recycling bin was tipped over. Minor stuff, but it stuck out. I stepped inside and immediately noticed something strange. The place smelled like sweat and cheap cologne, not mine. Not any I've ever worn. The lights were dimmed in the hallway, and the door to our bedroom was half closed. I assumed she was asleep, but something made me stop before pushing it open. There was a sound coming from inside. Not snoring. Not breathing from the bed. Something quieter, controlled. I stood still and listened. Faint, staggered breathing. Shallow, nervous. It was coming from the closet. My first instinct was that someone was having a panic attack. I reached for the light switch and flicked it on, then threw the closet door open. And there he was, half naked, clutching a pair of loafers in one hand and his phone in the other. No shirt, just boxer briefs. He froze when our eyes met, like a rat cornered in daylight. I didn't ask questions. I grabbed him by the arm, yanked him out of the closet, and slammed him face first into the hallway mirror across from the bed. Glass cracked. His lips split open. I stepped back and looked down at him. He started to mumble something, probably his name or an apology. I cut him off by grabbing his phone out of his hand. Locked, but I saw enough on the cracked screen. Missed messages. One from her. Another from someone named M, wife. I dropped the phone, pulled my own from my pocket, and snapped a photo of him right there, bleeding, slouched, half naked on the floor. Then I reached into his discarded pants and pulled out his wallet. Business cards. Corporate ID. A driver's license. I had everything I needed. Only then did I hear her voice behind me. Shaky. She had just come out from the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, hair still wet. She froze like she'd just walked into a murder scene. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. She looked at him, then at me, and back again. I ignored her completely. I walked over to the dresser, opened our shared drawer, and took out a small folder where we kept emergency documents, passports, a flash drive, a spare checkbook. I stuffed it into my bag. Then I walked into the living room, connected to the Wi-Fi, and did what had to be done. I sent the selfie photo to 3 addresses. His wife's contact, under M, in his phone. His company's general HR inbox. Her boss, whose email she had forwarded to me a week ago for helping with a resume draft. No message, just the image. While I waited for them to go through, I could hear her pacing the bedroom, making soft crying noises, trying to speak, but never forming words. The guy had finally pulled on his pants and was sitting against the wall like a stray animal. His nose was running. He kept wiping his mouth on the back of his hand. I glanced at the closet one last time before leaving. His shoes were still there, neatly lined up under my row of dress shirts. They had clearly planned for more than just a quick visit. I turned off the lights, grabbed my keys, and left the door wide open behind me. Once I got to my car, I sat there with the engine running. It was 2:47 a.m. The dashboard glowed. I opened our shared calendar app and deleted myself from every future event. Dinner with her parents. A friend's wedding in July. The notary appointment for our co-lease renewal. Gone. All of it. Then I drove to a late-night diner and ordered pancakes I had no intention of eating. Just sat there, letting the cold from the door drafts keep me awake. Checked my email again. 3 delivered confirmations. No replies. Not yet. But that didn't matter. The fuse had been lit. The next hour blurred. I stayed at the diner longer than I planned. The place was nearly empty, just me and a college kid typing away on a laptop. I sat in the booth by the window, nursing a burnt cup of coffee I hadn't touched. My phone stayed on the table, silent, until it wasn't. It started with a single vibration. Her name lit up the screen. I didn't answer. Then another call. Then a text. Please call me. Please. I need to explain. It's not what it looks like. I muted the notifications. Her desperation didn't interest me. I'd already seen enough. Then his phone rang. I hadn't taken it with me. I'd left it on the hallway floor. But I knew the sound when I heard it. Her ringtone, custom. Some pop song she hated, but set just for him. I remembered her complaining about it once. I thought it was weird at the time. Now it was just confirmation. The waitress brought the check. I paid in cash and left. Outside, the street was dead. The air was thick, humid, like it was about to storm. I wasn't ready to go home, but I had nowhere else to be. So I drove in circles. No destination. Just turning corners, passing empty gas stations and dark storefronts. That's when my phone rang again. But this time, it wasn't her. It was a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail, then immediately checked it. A man's voice. Low. Controlled. He introduced himself. Said he was the director of strategy at the company where the half-naked guy worked. He said he received the image I sent, asked me to call him back immediately, and thanked me for bringing something to his attention that HR should have dealt with a long time ago. I didn't expect that. I thought maybe I'd get silence. Or threats. Instead, I got professionalism and quiet rage hiding underneath his voice. It was like he'd been waiting for an excuse to clean house. I called back. He answered on the first ring, asked me calmly what happened. I gave him a short, precise version of the truth. That I'd come home early. That I found one of his employees in my closet at 2 a.m., half naked, hiding, and bleeding by the time it was over. I told him I wasn't looking for money or favors. I just thought he should know what kind of person he had working under him. He asked for names. I gave them. Then he said something that stuck with me. He's been protected too long. You're not the first husband. It wasn't what I expected to hear at 4 in the morning, but it explained something. This wasn't just a one-time mistake. The man in my house was a serial opportunist. A walking HR liability wrapped in gym clothes and fake compliments. 10 minutes later, I got another call. Different number. This one was shakier. A woman's voice. She didn't introduce herself at first. Just said, "Is this who sent me the photo?" I asked if she was married to the guy in the picture. She said yes. Then she broke. It was the kind of quiet sobbing you hear when someone is trying to stay composed, but their body gives out anyway. She said she'd had suspicions for months. He was always working late, started using a second phone, stopped letting her do the laundry. She'd checked everything she could, phone records, emails, but never had proof. Until now. She thanked me, not just for the photo, but for confirming she wasn't crazy. I offered to forward anything else she needed. She asked for a timestamp. I sent it. Then, in a calm voice like someone reading a recipe, she said she was going to change the locks before he got home. Back at the house, I pulled up to the curb and parked across the street. The lights inside were on. The bedroom curtains were open now. I could see her walking back and forth, talking into her phone. She looked like she was spiraling. I stayed in the car. A few minutes passed, and she came out onto the front porch, barefoot, still wearing the towel. She looked around, trying to spot me. Then she sat on the steps and put her face in her hands. That's when the third phone rang. Mine again. Different number. I let it ring, picked up after 5. It was her boss. The man sounded tired. Disappointed. Not surprised. He asked for confirmation, whether I'd actually sent the photo. I told him I had. He sighed. Said, she was doing so well. We were going to promote her. This is going to bury her. I didn't respond. He paused and added, this isn't the first whisper about her in clients. We just never had proof. I didn't say anything else. There wasn't anything left to say. The call ended with a muttered thanks and the sound of him closing a laptop. I got out of the car, walked across the street. She looked up, eyes red, nose running, phone still in hand. She tried to speak. I walked past her and went inside. He was gone. No sign of him. But the cracked mirror still had blood on it, and the hallway smelled like fear. She followed me inside, begging me to talk to her. She said it was a mistake, that he meant nothing, that she was drunk, confused, lonely. I ignored all of it. I walked into the bedroom and picked up every piece of clothing he'd left behind. His socks, his shirt, his watch. I carried it all into the bathroom and dropped it in the toilet. Then I flushed until it clogged. She stood at the door, staring. I turned to her, not out of pity, not to listen, just to say one thing. You haven't even seen what ruined looks like. Then I walked out. This time, I took my passport and car title too, just in case. After leaving the house, I drove to a small extended-stay hotel on the edge of town and paid for 3 nights up front in cash. The woman at the desk didn't ask questions. She barely looked at me. I appreciated that. My hands were still trembling, not from fear, but from restraint. Around 6 a.m., my phone buzzed with a new number. I ignored it. Then came the knock on the hotel room door. 2 officers. Plain clothes. Calm voices. They asked if I was involved in a domestic disturbance that had taken place earlier that night at my residence. I nodded and stepped aside to let them in. I handed them my ID, then pulled up the photo on my phone. They asked me what happened. I told them everything. Returning home early, hearing breathing, opening the closet, dragging the man out, smashing him into the hallway mirror. I showed them the cracked mirror in a time-stamped selfie. I gave them the guy's full name from the ID I'd pulled out of his wallet. The younger officer winced when he saw the photo. The older one just nodded. Then something unexpected happened. The older officer asked for the name again, then repeated it out loud to himself, like it rang a bell. He asked me to confirm the guy's workplace. When I told him, he looked over at his partner and said, "That's the same guy from the 2022 workplace incident, right?" His partner blinked, then pulled out a small notepad. Apparently, the man I dragged out of my closet wasn't just an office creep. He'd had a formal complaint filed against him by another employee 2 years ago, one that quietly disappeared after legal settled things internally. No charges filed, no public record. But officers in that area, they remembered. They asked me if I had any intention of continuing to pursue him. I said no. I'd already done my part. The evidence was distributed. The wife had it. The company had it. His name, his face, and his bloodied lip had been shared across all the places that mattered. I wasn't interested in pressing charges. I just wanted distance and truth on record. They asked if I wanted to file a report myself. I said yes, but only to protect myself from anything being twisted. The last thing I needed was them claiming I'd attacked him unprovoked. The officers agreed. I filed the incident. They wrote it down, took photos of the screenshot evidence, and asked if I still had the guy's wallet or phone. I didn't. I left both behind. The last thing the older officer said before leaving was, "You handled it better than most would have." I didn't respond. As they left, I sat on the edge of the bed, fully clothed, and stared at the blank TV screen. The sun had risen, but the day hadn't begun. Not really. By 7:30 a.m., my inbox was full. The first email was from her boss's assistant. It was brief. 2 lines. "This is to inform you that, name redacted, has been formally terminated effective immediately. Please confirm if you wish to submit any additional documentation." I didn't. The second email was from someone at the guy's office, a higher up than the man who called me last night. This one had a legal tone. It referenced an internal investigation, requested a written account of what happened. I opened a blank document and typed for 10 straight minutes. No emotion, just the facts. I included the image again. Not the selfie this time, just a screenshot of the closet door and the timestamp from my camera roll. Enough to be airtight. Around 9 a.m., I packed my bag and went out to grab breakfast. My phone buzzed again. Her number. I let it ring. Then her mom's number. Then her sister's. All blocked. I stopped at a pharmacy and printed a copy of the selfie photo on matte paper. I folded it neatly and slipped it into an envelope. Then I drove back to the neighborhood, parked by the mailbox cluster, and slid it into the slot labeled HOA Committee. They held monthly meetings. I figured they'd appreciate knowing the kind of behavior happening under their neatly manicured roofs. Gossip traveled fast there. I was doing them a favor. Back at the hotel, I took a shower and tossed the old shirt I'd been wearing into the trash. I logged into our shared financial account and removed myself from every auto payment and service linked to my name. Electricity, Wi-Fi, gas, subscriptions. All her responsibility now. She started calling from a blocked number. I didn't answer. Then she tried using friends' phones. Eventually, she showed up. I heard her voice at the front desk before I even saw her face. The same receptionist from earlier buzzed my room and warned me that a woman is downstairs crying and trying to reach you. I told her not to send her up. Then I heard raised voices. She was insisting she just wanted to talk, that she needed to explain, that I owed her a chance to fix this. I called the front desk again and told them to contact hotel security. They escorted her out while she screamed that she still loved me, that this wasn't fair, that he didn't mean anything. It didn't matter. She had already been processed by the world she thought wouldn't notice. Her company blacklisted her. Her former coworkers removed her from LinkedIn endorsements within an hour of the email blast. She went from up and comer to ghosted. The man she slept with? His name was added to the review list for company-wide compliance checks. His photos circulated in internal threads. Someone even added his name to a do not mentor list. I wasn't the one who burned their lives down. I just struck the match. They spilled the gasoline. And by now, the fire was already spreading. The morning after the hotel incident, I woke up to 4 missed calls, a dozen unread messages, and 1 email that stood out. It was from his wife. She kept it short, maybe 10 sentences total, but every line was surgical. She thanked me again for the photo. She said she had already confronted him when he limped through the front door at 5 a.m. reeking of blood, booze, and sweat. She didn't give him a chance to speak. She handed him a manila envelope with the image I'd sent, told him he had 10 minutes to pack, and then locked him out with a chain on the door. The last line of her email? "If you ever need a witness for legal purposes, I'm in." I archived the message and exhaled. It felt like the closest thing to peace I'd touched in 48 hours. At 9:15 a.m., I called the leasing office of our apartment building and explained the situation. They knew who I was immediately. Apparently, word had already traveled from the HOA. The printed photo had made the rounds. The clerk on the phone didn't ask questions. She just asked if I wanted to formally remove myself from the lease and utilities. I confirmed, and she sent me a termination form within 5 minutes. That was the moment I decided I wouldn't step foot in that building again. Everything I needed was already out: passport, cards, ID, and my laptop. My personal items weren't worth the stress. The bed, the dishes, the couch, let them be reminders for her. The messages from her changed tone that day. Less begging, more bargaining. First, she offered to meet, just to talk. Then she said she would tell everyone it was just a misunderstanding if I came home. Later that evening, she sent a message with nothing but a photo of her engagement ring on the kitchen counter, next to a post-it that said, "I'm sorry." She didn't get it. Not even close. I didn't need an apology. I needed her out of my life without residue. And I was nearly there. At around noon, I logged into her work site. She had once used my laptop to access her company dashboard and saved her credentials. They were still cached. It took less than a minute to access her internal portal. Her name had been stripped from the team page. Her Slack status was blank. I clicked into the company newsletter. Under the HR updates section was a sanitized announcement about an employee's termination due to serious conduct violation impacting interdepartmental boundaries and compliance. No names, but everyone would know. A few minutes later, I got an unexpected text from an old acquaintance, Jason, a guy we used to double date with before he and his girlfriend broke up. His message was simple. "Bro, what happened? Your name's flying through group chats. That photo? Brutal. But damn. That sealed it." The entire social circle had seen it. I hadn't intended that, but I didn't mind either. At 4:30 p.m., her sister called me. I didn't answer. She sent a long message instead, saying my ex was completely wrecked, that she hadn't eaten, hadn't slept, that she'd been fired, and now had no one. I found that ironic. She had someone, didn't she? The guy with the busted lip and stained boxer briefs? Surely he'd comfort her. Or maybe not. According to his wife's follow-up email later that night, he'd checked into a motel with no phone and no car. His wife had taken both, including the joint account balance. Apparently, the stitches from the mirror hadn't healed well. Funny how quickly your support system disappears when the illusion shatters. By nightfall, she showed up again. This time at my office. She'd never been there before, never needed to. But now she was in the lobby, speaking to the receptionist, claiming it was urgent and personal. Security was called. They handled it before I even left my desk. She was escorted out calmly but firmly. No screaming, just pleading eyes and a crumpled paper in her hand. I never saw what it said. I didn't care. After that, I made sure HR flagged her name with a no-contact protocol. We were done. Completely. As for the man, 2 days later, his name came up on a company bulletin board under pending disciplinary review. A co-worker of his posted anonymously on a public industry forum, claiming he had used his position to solicit clients unethically, mixing business with after-hours encounters. They didn't mention my photo directly, but the timing matched, and people connected the dots. One night, while scrolling, I came across a Reddit thread on workplace affairs. Someone had uploaded a blurred version of my photo, his lips swollen, the mirror cracked behind him. It was titled, "Guy got caught cheating with a coworker. Husband sent this to everyone." The comments were brutal. I didn't write the post, but I didn't mind that it existed. It served its purpose. She never reached out again after being removed from my office. The silence was better than any apology she could have faked. I moved out of the hotel a few days later and signed a lease on a small studio across town. No frills, no decorations, just quiet. On my first night there, I unpacked my laptop, heated up takeout, and pinned one thing to the fridge. The printed version of the selfie. Not out of spite, not as a trophy, just as a reminder of what happens when you ignore your instincts for too long, when you trust too easily, when you believe someone won't destroy you because they say they love you. The truth is, love didn't protect me. Anger didn't guide me. Fear didn't break me. It was clarity. And once I had it, I didn't need anything else. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day. And trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.